Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. This is the VO Dojo's Get to Know VO. It's a free webinar that we do monthly that focuses on some aspect of VO that you might know a little bit about, or you might want to, and you want to get to know more about, or you might be something that you haven't even gotten to on your journey yet. So it's a way to start thinking about things. So, fantastic crowd here today. I'm Tish Hicks. I'm the Master Sensei of the VO Dojo here in Burbank, California, joined by Jeffrey Gilbank and Kelsey V, who is our dojo team supporting everybody here today. And we are super, super excited to have joining us today someone who is near and dear to my heart. He happens to be my husband, Parker Bennett of Aligned Online Marketing and Branding. And today, our Get to Know VO is, funnily enough, about branding your voice and your voiceover business. So, we would love to get a sense of who you are and where you are. So if you want to put in the chat where you are, and then Jeffrey, do you want to explain? We're going to do a little poll to get a sense of where everybody's at on their journey, so we can hone in what we're sharing.
Of
Can you
course.
explain that, Jeffrey?
Hi, everybody. I certainly can. You explained it very succinctly, Tish.
Oh, okay. Well, there it is.
Yeah, so I'm going to launch a poll. We'd love to know where you're coming in from and where you're at. It's helpful for us to know. And then we can tailor more of these kinds of events to match, where you're at and what you're looking for currently on your journey.
Ah, cool, cool, cool. So we'll get a sense of that. Can everyone see that poll? Cool. Let's see. So you just can everyone vote on it? I don't see anybody doing it yet. Oh, there we go. There we go. Awesome. Cool. Let me get to know each other a little bit more. So we'll figure out that, and I'm gonna see where everybody's from. That's always a fun thing. One of the benefits of the pandemic, one of the plus sides about that fun time. Yeah, good, good, good. All right, Cincinnati, Dallas, we've got the whole country covered. Chicago, my hometown. Awesome. Great. Warner Robins, Georgia. That sounds fancy. Uh, good, good, good. Sunny and Rancho Cucamonga. All right, we've got it covered. Great, fantastic. How's the poll going? Jeffrey, are we good to go?
Yeah.
We've got a
Yeah.
good.
If anybody wants it out of their way, once you've completed it, it should move away. And I'll just keep an eye out. Looks like people are still filling it in as we go. So
Good, 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 good. So we've got a nice cross section of people here. That's great. Fantastic. Thanks, guys. All right. Well, Parker, why don't we start the presentation and Parker will introduce himself. Or do you want to say hi first? We can't hear you. First rule of voiceover.
Yes,
Turn on
first, yeah,
the microphone.
nice. Hey, everyone. I'm Parker Bennett. I am the founder of Aligned Online, where we help our clients with marketing and branding and websites and trying to integrate everything, trying to get the simplest solutions possible. I'll talk about that a little bit in the presentation. Let's get started, I think. Let me pull this up. I think it's better if I just share everything and do.
Yeah, and then just play. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So
Um,
Jennifer, the dojo. And this is Get to Know VO, branding your voice and your voiceover business. We've confirmed this. So, yeah. um, I think I'm preaching to the choir for many of you, but you can, a little bit about me for those of you who are here for the first time. Um, I am, I've been LA VO Pro. I'm originally from Chicago. I've been an LA VO Pro for 25 plus years. I've been blessed to be the longtime voice of many, many campaigns, including Subaru, that is still running for 14 years. So, yeah, I work in all of the genres, and you can turn the side part. Um, and about 10, 11, going on 12 years ago, I created the VO Dojo, which is our holistic and comprehensive voiceover training program that is designed to guide you from I don't know to working pro. We meet you where you are and take where you want to be. So this is a part of that journey. And Park, why don't you introduce yourself?
I am a longtime creative professional. I started out in advertising in Chicago. I was a copywriter at Needham and Leo Burnett. I got to cast many, many commercial voiceovers at that time, although I think my voiceover bona fides are more aligned with being married to Tish because I've been watching her and following her career and watching her just kill it for over 25 years, and of course being starting the dojo and watching lots and lots of people come through there. I've written for magazines, TV, and movies. I came out here to LA to write movies. It's harder than it looks, so I pivoted and started a website agency initially to do websites for movies. And that turned out also to be not a thing ultimately. Now we just watch trailers and buy tickets. And so I pivoted and founded Aligned Online, where we're really focused on trying to get simple solutions for people so they're not overwhelmed by all the things they think they should or could be doing online. And I try to steer this company toward clients who are making a difference in the world. That's where the Aligned comes from. So I have a lot of nonprofit coaches and nonprofit clients and coaches and authors and performers, and that's what I like to help people with. We create marketing that clicks. One of my favorite things to do is create branding for my clients, our clients, and here's a little sample platter of some of that.
Does it have music?
Sorry. Share with the other. Stop share. I got to share with the thing. The share sound. That'll do it. Wow. Tech.
I mean, it
Where
looked
were we?
good even without the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now I have clients like TED Talk people, and I've worked for the Redford Center. And one of the things I really enjoy doing is helping create voiceover websites and branding. Thanks to my connection with the dojo, we've been able to do some of that. And I've got this poll up. There we go. So what's different about performers and voiceover performers? They have a little bit, they have a business. You're creating a business for yourself, but it's a little different than other businesses. The product is you and your talent, and so the way you get out into the world is a little different. What your needs are a little different. But like every business, you need to connect with the right target. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But if you're doing If you're focused on video games or narration or promo work, if you're doing direct to client work, how you're talking to people, who you're talking to people is going to change. You're going to need to create a brand for your talent and your voice. So this is a way to sort of make you stand out. You need to convey that you're a professional, that you are competent and committed, and you communicate well, that you're respectful of your clients' time and attention. And it's important. One of the biggest things that you have as a voiceover performer that other people don't is you have a fantastic community of people who are just great and helping each other out. And certainly the dojo is that community. And when you use that to your advantage and share your journey and celebrate your wins, you really never know where those connections can lead. There might be some job that someone else, does an audition for, and they go, oh, well, I'm not really right for this, but you should talk to Kat Campion, or you should talk to Tish Hicks. Being part of that community is ultimately very beneficial. Today, we're going to just sort of focus mostly on branding. Targeting is where we start with that discussion. Like I said, you got to figure out who you're talking to. We're going to talk about what is branding. It's not just a logo. Mm-hmm. When are you ready to do it? So where you are in your voiceover journey, if you're just starting out, you could always be thinking about how you're going to brand yourself, how you fit into the bigger picture of voiceover, but you're not going to really need to get serious until a little bit further down the road. And then what are the elements of good VO branding? What's going to make your brand stand out? So who are you targeting? It's a big ocean out there. Are you focused on a genre, commercials or narration or animation? Depending on who you're serving, you have different clients. Actually, you have casting directors and agents. You might be working directly with ad execs. You might have direct work you do for a small business, or on non-union hiring sites, audiobook publishers. So what we're looking for is thinking it through from their vantage points, so you can understand what they're looking for, and that will help you connect with them. So because there's so many different varieties of things you could be doing, you sort of need to narrow your focus a little bit so that you can use the right language and the right approach. Like if you're a B2B voiceover person, LinkedIn is going to be your platform. If there might be different ways to get to people. The more clearly you can decide your target, the less you'll flounder. And that is my dad pun for the day. The dojo is really ideal for helping you explore these different avenues, these different genres. Tish could talk a little bit more to that.
Yeah, I mean, basically what we do at the dojo is wherever you're at, we get you to the place where you know yourself, you know what the work is. You start to have the tools and the hands-on experience with using the tools, right? Those 10,000 hours to get from mystery to mastery. And you also get to know yourself really well in that process. So ultimately, in terms of your branding, we want to get you from all the fish in the sea to your special sushi platter of samples of different textures and qualities of your voice that's served up in a very nice, concise way. And then that's what you are taking to market. And then we set up your sushi restaurant, right? Then how are people going to buy that platter? So yeah, that's sort of what we're talking about here.
So like I said, branding is more than just a logo. It's about consistency across everything. So the idea is, you could have a logo, you could have a font choice or a color scheme, but you really need to think about branding everything working together, aligned, so that it's helping to communicate you and what's special about you, and also importantly, how well you are helping your clients. When I work with my clients, uh, thinking about this, a lot of them are small businesses or they're coaches, and they have a little bit different avenues to market themselves than you might as voiceover people. But this is a good sort of way to think bigger about your brand. It is a logo. It can be your brand presence. It could be just typography and brand colors. It's that visual element, images, illustrations, photography, depending on image systems. That's sort of like, oh, I always recognize that image from that person because it's colorized black and white, or it's got some crazy outline around it, or it's got a halftone thing going on. Could be illustrations. We'll talk a little bit later about icons, iconography. And then there's the language. There's how you brand yourself. So your company name here is really how you're positioning. Ultimately, if you have, I don't have a slide about this, but you want to stake your claim on a domain, right? So ideally, if you already have yourname.com, that's great. That's a great place to start. Sometimes that's not available. So you might think about yournamevo.com or yournamevoice.com. I recommend, not getting into the weeds too much with .biz or .name or whatever, but try to keep it to the .com or .co or .net. And just a little trick: be careful when you're looking for a domain name, because if you type a domain name into like GoDaddy searching for it and you don't buy it right then and there, it won't actually be available to you the next day. It will mysteriously be purchased and then offered for auction at thousands of dollars. So I always recommend just if you're considering a domain name, just type it into the address bar and see what happens. And if obviously if a website comes up, or if it's like this site coming soon, or parked here courtesy of GoDaddy, then that's taken. But if it's a nothing burger, then it's a good chance that it might be available. When you do search for something, and be sure that you're really that could be a thing, because otherwise you wind up piling up domain names, as I've done over the years. Finally did a big call of them not too long ago, and got rid of 30 or so things that I just picked up along the way. But more than that, your tagline is part of this. Your how you quickly pitch what you do. So when you're in a coffee shop, or you're in a mixer or something, and somebody asks what you do, it's really nice to have that practiced language about, this is, I'm a voiceover artist and I'm focused on video games. And, obviously if you have client work that you can talk about, that's great. But have a succinct way that you can pull out any time to talk about what you do. Quick pitch. Pocket. I was going to say pocket. So that's all part of the language, and then it's how your voice and tone comes across when you're writing. So when you're writing an email or your website copy or whatever, if you can start getting consistent about that, if it's super casual or if it's super forthright, there's a way that you want everything to sort of mirror the qualities that you're trying to project, the vibe of your voice. There is how you are in the world is part of your branding. Your values are in action. So it might be the promotional events that you go to, or things you sponsor, or partnerships you are involved with, and charity and community. And those kinds of being in the world is actually more and more part of our identities now as artists, because people want to know we're real people and that we have other things going on. And it's helpful. I'll talk a little bit later about how helpful it is to keep sharing not only your voiceover journey and your voiceover wins, but what things that really spark you. And that's if you wind up developing a following for something, for voiceover, fantastic, but even something else, it actually gives you an advantage in casting because you're somebody who has a built-in audience. That might be part of the equation.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like looking at this chart, work environment is also your booth when you show up on these things. Your booth can be part of your brand. I know Christina, who's part of our nth degree program, has a quiet neon light that totally is part of her brand with her colors and things like that. So you don't have to have a neon sign, but just I know that space. I know that that is a reflection of you. That's an interesting way to think about that.
So the basic idea here is to broaden your thinking about branding so that you're not letting any opportunity to brand something go by. If you can make your booth, have a whatever, like if you have a motif that's hats, maybe you have a hat rack in the back of your booth.
Or just
If
your
you
vibe, right? That if we get your
yeah
vibe from your space.
yeah, and that should be obviously something you don't have to think too much about
Right.
because you're
Secondary.
vibing.
Secondary to once you have your brand, how can it all align, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Um,
Did you have something else?
I was just going to say, you guys will get this replay and we can make these charts available to you as well. So, yeah. So in case you didn't get all of that. So let's keep on going.
So, as I mentioned, branding is a bigger idea than just a logo. It's in the language you use, your voice and tone, a visual approach that's easy to recognize and helps you stand out. And branding is really about consistency, and that and simplicity make it more memorable. So, when you're thinking things through, just try to be consistent, but also try to make things simpler and simpler. Like if you're one of these companies, Apple, for example, started with a woodcut logo with a woodcut of Isaac Newton under an apple tree, and they've got it down to this. So Google similarly had these 3D shaded letters, and they got it down to this. So companies are spending millions of dollars getting to simple, and I encourage you to just start there. Branding your voice. This is talking about the language, how you describe your voice, how you describe what you do. Simple branding language helps others tell your story and sell you to their clients. So if someone is saying, "Oh yeah, you know who might be right for this," and they're able to like understand exactly what to say about you and your voice, because it's just it's on your website or it's something that you've made a part of a tagline or something, it really can help other people quickly get a handle on what you have to offer. You want to help people focus on the qualities that make you stand out and are most truly you. So we have to think a little bit about what's going to differentiate us in the marketplace. Just another AM radio voice guy, that's not going to be okay. You want to be, you want your authentic self to be a big part of this equation. And that's something that Dojo also works a lot on, is trying to get that essence going. In addition, branding encompasses your business, how you conduct your business, the experience you want clients to have working with you. Is it easy for potential clients to get what they need? Demos, contact info, studio tech capabilities, if it's applicable. You really want to make sure that you're respecting people's time and attention so that they can get in, get out, get what they need. And then you get these great, in response, you'll wind up with more branding language because they'll give you a great testimonial. So here's some of Kelly Tager's. People have given her these quotations that are on her website. Kelly's not only a super talented voiceover artist, but she's a great human to work with. She's directable, versatile, and most of all, fun. So this is about not only it's not just about what you can do, it's about what you can do for them. And so you're solving a problem for the head of casting at Voicecaster, and then she responds accordingly. Respecting people's time and attention is really important. Attention is pretty much the most rare commodity we have these days. It's very, our attention spans are getting shorter. There's so many things crowding us and looking for our attention. So when we make it simple for our clients or potential clients to get help, then that's respecting their time and their attention. You can pay for people's time, but they have to give you their attention. So just make sure you're treating that with a lot of respect. Don't write a 15 paragraph email, that you think somebody's going to read. Nobody reads. So just make sure that you're being brief and concise, and that you're branding your voice and tone in all of those communications. Let's have Tish speak to this.
So one of the things that I think comes up on the subject of branding, obviously, in the same way that when your baby is born, the essence of that baby is there, right? You can look at a kid when it was a little baby and see the person that it's going to become. As your career is starting, there's going to be those things like, oh, wow, yes, that makes so much sense. Um, in terms of creating a brand, right? Like that your branding will be inherent in you um, from wherever you begin. One of the things that happens as you go on your journey, this is the journey as we lay it out at the dojo. Um, we take the martial arts metaphor and break it into belt levels, this natural progression from I don't know to working pro questions to earning your living. Um, so initially, you're white belt. You're initiating and opening your awareness. Then yellow belt is about exploration and finding out what is there, and exploring what the possibilities are so you can know kind of where you want to target, right? Then Greenbelt is all about self exploration, which is really where the branding process starts. And we call this the demo prep. So it's not only where are all the parties, but what are you specifically bringing to the party? What is a great thing that you bring to the party? Or what are those several great things? And then we hone those in, and branding actually is part of your demo production, right? As you're honing in on what's going to be on your sushi platter, that is a process of branding. What is your voice? What is your voice in itself? What is your voice in the marketplace? How does it serve those things? And here's your demo is that sample platter, that tangible thing of here's what we're honing in on. And then all of the other branding, how do we talk about that? How do we create visuals around that? Supports that. And then there's the how does that branding get you out in the world, which is the brown belt. How are you specifically who you are, where you are, what age you are, what your voice type is, what you're interested in doing? How are you going to integrate that into the world? And then as we go through there, then you earn your black belt. That's moving into the working pro, and you'll continually be honing your marketing, honing everything. So I think in terms of when are you ready, how much have you explored? Do you know what the game is? And how have you explored yourself? How deeply do you know who you are and how you deliver that clearly all the time? That becomes your sushi platter. That becomes the demos that you have. So sort of, I think, while you're thinking about it at the beginning, it's really sort of part of the middle, not kind of sort of. It's really part of the middle of the journey that this begins, and then you continue to refine and define it as you go along, right?
So I want to talk a little bit about the different elements. We touched on this a little bit in that big flow chart. Here's the fish metaphor. Continuing, these are lures. So these branding is part of your tackle. And one of the lures is language. This is your essence and energy, your unique voice that we're trying to get these words to describe. It starts how you describe yourself and your voice. So you want to be thinking that through, like, what do you think your voice sounds like? What do you think where do you think things fall? But it really is very important to hear what others perceive and how other people are categorizing you, and also what others say about you and how they work with you. So those testimonials. And then, you're in the middle, in the midst of producing that demo, you're going to get a lot of clarity around the kind of the essence of your voice and the things that you're going to be focusing on. Those voice demos will really help communicate part of this picture. And again, as Tish mentioned, the work you're doing with the dojo to prepare your demo and all along is really a great support for all this.
Uh, so we wanted to do a quick sampling of this. At the dojo, we do something called the essence call, and this is a more in-depth, a much more in-depth version. We're going to do a little mini version of this, but just understand, like we understand ourselves to a certain extent, as Parker said. How are you perceived in the world? What impact does your voice have? What resonates in people when they hear your voice? So I want to take a couple minutes here. We've listed in alphabetical order a bunch of different adjectives. And what I'd love to do is, let me see how I can get my view. So
Yeah, Tish, I can't leave this up and get to the chat, so I'm going to have to have you guys
Yeah,
take
no, no,
lead
no,
on
this
it.
is cool. So what I'd like to do is have two volunteers that have sort of really different voice prints. Let's see. Let's see. Susie. Let's do Susie and Chris. How about that? Because
So you volunteered them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, if you would like to volunteer, I'm just trying to keep things going, and I know those two voices are really, really different. Are you guys up for being a volunteer? Or we could have someone raise their hands, and if we want. Uh, Susie, are you up for a volunteer? All you have to do is speak, and then let me tell you. Let me tell you what we're doing with this game. Sorry, before you volunteer or I volunteer you. The idea here is that we'll have each person introduce themselves and just talk a little bit, like just say a couple things. I'll ask a question, and then as they're speaking, we'll have everybody else look at this list and choose three adjectives from this list, and we'll see what
I think if people have other adjectives or phrases or whatever
yeah,
come to mind, I wouldn't say rule that out.
yeah.
Like,
There's more words than this.
this is just a helpful starter list.
Yeah. Does that sound like a fun game? Everyone down with it? Makes sense? Okay. Good, good, good. Susie and Chris, would you like to be volunteered?
I'm all in.
Okay, awesome. So, Susie, so everyone be ready and share in the chat what comes through about Susie's voice. Susie, tell me about a favorite, like one of your favorite days ever.
Wow. Well, I can give a generic description of one that I
Well,
repeat often.
however you want to, we just want to hear your voice
Okay.
and what makes you
Okay.
happy and what makes you tick. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I love living by the ocean. So I meditate by the ocean. I walk, I swim. Yesterday, I got this blow up thing with oars that I'm going to be playing with. The waves, it's ridiculous, but someone gave it to me. And I just really love nature, hiking. I really love, and just doing that with a friend or two really, really makes my day.
Yeah, cool, cool, cool. Awesome, awesome. So hopefully we got some things in the chat there. And
Thank you. That was
this
fun.
Yeah, this process is something that you guys can do anytime with people who know you and with people who don't know you. Sometimes doing it with people who don't know you, like here, we've just met Susie, but that's what happens with your voice. Your voice is always, people are always meeting your voice and being impacted by it. Um, so you can do this anywhere, anytime if you figure it out. Now, Chris West, are you up for playing?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. And it's not too late there, right? In England
No,
or
it's 5:30.
Oh, okay, great, great, great. Good, good, good. Okay, so Chris, why don't you tell us about where you live? And
So,
if everybody's ready, we'll switch to writing about Chris.
so I live in what could be described as the paradise of the British Channel Islands. It's a little island called Guernsey, about 60,000 people here, and it's really nice. Speed limit around this island is 35 miles an hour, so people drive pretty much anything. Tractors, you'll see tractors on the road. It's a great place.
Yeah, yeah. Good, good, good. It's really easy to get a sense of Chris and what, and then the next thing that you can think about, like in terms of your branding, once you get these words going, oh, thank you, Chris and Susie, that was really helpful. Um, once you get these words going, then you can go like, oh, what would that voice be good for? And then we want to find the things that resonate with you and what it would be good for. But let's take a look at this. Um, let's notice some of these words that came through. Uh, kind, clear, comfort for Susie, comforting, cozy, fresh, friendly, resonant, deep, warm, friendly, cheerful, warm, playful, kind, calming, conversational, upbeat, warm. So the other thing that we can do when we do these things, if everybody says warm, then let's find a more um either another version of the word warm that's a little less like a little less generic, or a little less everybody does that, right? Um, serene, enthusiastic, playful, and then find out what is the same, and then what's consistently the same, and then find maybe different versions of that. Um, so those are great words, and then I think we switch to oh, bright, charming, mesmerizing. Those are good. Now, Chris time, thank you for that delineation, Kelsey. Um, warm, authoritative, trustworthy, strong, resonant, mellow, matter of fact, captivating, resonant, charming, funny, rich, authoritative. Yeah, all very accurate. Yeah, very accurate from just those little seconds of hearing people's voices. Um, so yeah, I encourage you guys to, you know, get do this with friends and send out a sample. Send out a sample to people you know. Put it on social media. Um, yeah, great. Okay, so
And
that's my yeah. Go ahead, Park.
yeah, I just want to, like you were saying, these are the most popular words to describe. A lot of these are very popular words to describe, a vocal quality. And what we want to find are the places where we can. It's not memorable to be, to be. Oh yeah, he's a real person, very authentic. It's you're one in a million that way. You're one in 10 that way rather. But what we want to do is well, probably a million. I don't know, but we want to make it one in a million. We want to create a way to say that, maybe a little more poetically, or using contrasting words to find an intersection of things that, or a range of things that you do that may be unique to you. So we're looking for ways. We're looking for ways to be a little more poetic, which might lead to a tagline.
Hmm. Yeah.
A tagline is not just about those vocal qualities, but also about what your target is looking for. So if you're, for example, fresh, friendly, a voice that casually cuts through, that's a little bit of a contrast there to things that you don't think of casual as being able to cut through. Cutting through is something that, you know, producers of commercials want. Um, these are really simple. Like they're like 2 words, 3 words, a single sentence. Um, Tough, cozy, so very contrasting. A voice for confusing times. Kelly Tager here is a ray of rye sunshine. So there's a little poetic tagline. And then Kelly on her website goes ahead and just uses language to say what she's a match for, right? If you're looking for a cool mom with snarky charm, warmth, wit, intelligence, and improv skills, then you found her. So don't be afraid to help people understand that you're a match for what they're looking for. Visuals. So this is mostly what we think of when we think of branding, like, oh, it's a logo, it's a color, it's a typeface. I sometimes will start with a bigger idea and see if there's a motif that really resonates with you as a performer. So I'm going to walk through a little case study with one of our clients, who you've seen a little bit from already, and talk about, you know, the motif that we started with and where that led to. When you have a little bit of more of an idea of sort of that word cloud, that the adjectives and phrases that you know that you're kind of looking to reinforce, you're going to look for typography that is a match for that tries to be aligned with that. So and it's not just whatever the font is that's in your logo, it's also in, you know, the choices you make for you know, a graphic on social media can have typography in it, and you might have a couple of different typefaces. You don't want to, like, in the interest of keeping things simple, you want to make sure that you're not going crazy, right? So your color scheme should be, you know, 1 or 2 strong brand colors, not 17, right? You don't want to have 14 different typefaces, you know, on your website. You need to, it's not consistent, then it's not something you can consistently do. So you want to make sure that you're narrowing things down to, like, let's pick a palette of, you know, 1 strong brand color and a couple of accent colors. Let's pick a you know, a headline font. Let's pick a logo font, a headline font, and a body copy font. And maybe the headline font and the logo font are the same. So we want to try to keep these narrowed down, because that restriction is what helps keep it simple. You might have a logo, you might not need one. Often you don't. Just your name or your name VO in a really nice distinctive typeface. Sometimes it can help to pair that with an icon, with something that picks up that motif and carries it through into a little, ideally square, because you want something that can fit in your image that goes along with your emails, the thumbnail that's on your social media and stuff. If you could, you know, it can be just your face, obviously, but if you have a motif, if you have something that you can carry through with an icon, we'll show some examples of that in a little bit. That can be helpful. And then the visual style that you choose, that you decide is something that you want to keep consistent throughout your social media and your website and your business cards and whatever. That might be a way you treat your photo, that maybe it has an interesting border or a halftone treatment or a duotone thing, or maybe it's not even a photo, maybe it's a cartoon or a caricature or a sketch or something. There's ways that you can use graphic treatments to create consistency across your different platforms.
Cool. And we're gonna show how you think about it, how you think through on this now, right? Like with a case
Yeah.
study? Yeah, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah. So this is Max Spitz, and he part of the dojo, and he had a really strong uh, passion for surfing, and we sort of decided that would be interesting. It separates him. He's from, he's here in California. It separates him from other places in the world. It's showing. It has a lot of actual like unconscious benefit. Like you think through what does it take to be a surfer? The skills that you need to surf are actually really aligned with the skills you need to to do voiceover, because it's riding energy levels, and it's cresting and feeling the rhythms of things, and it takes practice and it takes determination. And so there's a sort of nothing spoken, right? We don't talk about that anywhere, but it's like it because a picture's worth 1,000 words. You get an instant idea of who Max is because of this motif. And so that picks up just a little bit in his website. There's a tiny strip of a photo that actually when you're
tendency
uh-oh,
and
we need to mute somebody. Um,
wonderful singing voice, though.
Nice, very nice. That wasn't Max, was it? um, we're not going to dive too deep into websites, but your website really can be this simple. It's more and more people are favoring having a nice giant picture, because that face really helps people connect with you. It's like we're just hardwired to look at a human face, look at those eyes and that smile, and just feel something, right? We get a connection there.
And that's
He's
that's
got
really interesting because when I started out 30 years ago, it was verboten to have your picture anywhere. It's just your voice, and mostly how we worked with people was, just over, or in a booth, or like, just hearing it. It was like, no, no, we don't want any picture. And now I think it's really part of what we part of it. It helps, right? Because we get who this is. Yeah. Yeah, let's keep on going, Park.
Well, this is a great picture because it just shows that casual attitude. It's a voice that casually cuts through, and he's in a nice little clean white t-shirt. He's just sitting there casually smiling and sitting against a wall. But your voiceover website is really about one thing. Somebody comes there to listen to your demos. You want to make sure those are front and center, that you don't have to hunt through a menu to find them. They don't pop up, and they're there instantly. We're not going to, again, get too into the weeds, but here's some testimonial quotes, a nice quick short bio, gives you more about Max, a couple of surfing pictures, his contact info, and a big button to get in touch, right? So we want to have a call to action on that website, like, what do you want people to do? The other thing is that when you're thinking about your website, be aware, mostly every way you build pages today, that isn't going to be a problem, but most people, you're going to meet someone at a party, they're going to want to go check out your website, and they're going to pull out their phone. So this nice giant photo is going to be very small, and things are going to stack. You're going to see the demos, and then the testimonial quotes, and then a picture of about Max, and then a picture of Max, and then the bio. So it's going to be all in a narrow tube, and that wide expanse of a picture of surfing is going to be much narrower. So you have to think that through a little bit. So you want to make sure that you're aware that 60% or more of your visitors on a website are going to be looking at it on a phone. So we went through a bunch of different typographic explorations. We had a pretty youthful, contemporary. It's a really good match for a geometric sans serif font typeface. Talk about different typefaces in a second. But every one of these has a little bit of a different feel, and ultimately we wound up finding the right match for Max, and the kind of understated way he wanted to get at things. He didn't want a giant, heavy max to the max. He wanted it to be more casual and understated. So there's different kinds of typefaces. A serif is the little crossbar of a letter, and sans serifs are a little more contemporary, although it's trending now. That the trend has shifted in the last few years, where people are doing a little more interesting serif-y headlines and also logos and things. The trends just, they change every now and then. The geometric sans serif has been a trend since the Obama administration. If you remember, Obama's campaign stuff, that was a font called Gotham, typeface called Gotham, and that's sort of been a very standard approach since then. But serif fonts are, your voice and yourself might be a better match for something that's conveyed by a more traditional font or a more airy font. So serif is a great place to look for that stuff. These are all picks from a website called typewolf.com, which is a great resource for learning about type and finding different examples of different styles of type. Slab serif is just the same weight, and it's almost like a typewriter font. That's a really great font if you're an authoritative, if you have some weight to your voice. And then there's different variations of display fonts. Humanist is a sort of a sans serif font that has a more deviation in thick and thin. There's rounded fonts, there's script fonts. It all depends. Again, I'm urging you to keep things simple, and also keep things so you don't have to hop on a different trend every 3 years, right? So whatever the trend is, be aware of it, but also you want your branding to be a little more timeless. When you're looking for typefaces, it's not a bad idea to just use the freely available Google fonts. There's a lot of great typefaces there. There's a list on Typewolf of his favorites from the Google. Canva has a bunch of built-in typefaces. The advantage of using the platform that you have, picking a brand typeface from a platform that's free and easily available, is it's easy to create things on an iPad, online, and you don't have to load a special font and things. So if you can find a great match from Google or Canva or whatever, that might be a good place to at least start. And then you can, if you have fallen in love with a font that is not there, you can obviously create those images on your computer and then upload. Max had a photo that we liked, but he was sitting against a brown wall, which kind of is the opposite of that ocean surfing motif that we were trying to go for. But you can change things. You can go and especially now with AI tools and stuff, you can remove a background, you can replace a background, you can colorize the background. So we did a little bit of an exploration of different subtly different colors, and trying to find the vibe, trying to find the right, is it purple, is it blue green, is it gray, and we wanted that ocean vibe. We decided maybe the aquamarine was a little too on the nose, so we went with this sort of vibrant blue, and that's where we landed with that. I wanted to say something else, now I can't remember. So you can have a logo. There's nothing saying you can't. A bespoke way of creating, combining type and color, and maybe it's a little more fanciful. Maybe it's something that's really different than the rest of your website, like your headlines. Obviously, Heather here is not going to have the headlines on her website in this scripted font. And she is using this icon, this flower, as something that she carries over and, tries to have as a motif. She's Kelly Tager uses a sunflower similarly. But this is Heather's. That's her logo. Here's Jason Vandebrake, another dojo, early dojo OG. This icon is a microphone up at the top. And here's my rule about using a microphone as your icon in voiceover branding. It's got to be this classy. It's got to be this different and cool, because it's not, if you just have the standard clip art of a microphone, yeah, it does quickly convey voiceover, but I think like reach a little higher. I think you could make it a little more distinguished. And Jason, this is interesting. If you go to Jason's website, which I'm not sure, I hope it redirects from jasonvandebrake.com, but it's jvbvo.com. You can see that he's got a lot of video game stuff, which this typeface doesn't. Well, I guess if you were doing Red Dead Redemption, that this typeface works. But it's interesting. He's got just basically a classy logo typeface here, but it's not super informed by the kind of work he does. So visual style, I mentioned, like it might be a cartoon or a graphic treatment. Here's Jen Wong. She's got a sort of stylized illustration of herself. This is Jay Preston and Meg Hensley. Jay has an icon on his own website. He has a hat that he's continually wearing. Pretty much whenever he shows up for anything, he's wearing this hat, and he uses that hat as an icon, as a adjunct to his branding. So, and here's a more cartoon approach. So you get a very different vibe. You get a different sense of who these people are, that they're fun to work with. Again, demos front and center, and it's interesting here.
They also brand themselves together, that they are the male and female version of a voice that you might need. So that's another like extra layer of branding. So.
Yeah, and that used to be actually more of a thing. You'd have the Nichols and May, doing things. You'd have Bob and Ray. You'd have different pairs of voices that produce things. So this is sort of in that old school realm. On my website, alignedonline.com/resources, I have a bunch of links to branding resources that probably some I have to check them. I haven't looked at them in a while, but typefaces, places to get free typefaces, places to look to find tools for exploring color palettes. I don't have. I'm going to add. I have to add it, but there's a site called Hue HUE.tools. That's a really great color resource that helps you sort of play around with colors and explore colors and mix colors. I recommend Hue.tools. And there's a whole bunch of other resources there. So I urge you to go check that out. And we've talked a little bit about a website. I'll just touch on it again. Simpler is better. Demos front and center. You want that clear tagline or headline. I think it's really important to have some kind of social proof that you get client logos for work you've done, testimonials if you don't have that, both if you can. And people are just naturally drawn to that big quotation mark and want to check out, how well have you done? It shows that you're professional. It shows that you're getting good results for people. So one of the things I always encourage people to do who are creating a website is like use that opportunity to reach out and get a hold of anybody, vocal coaches or clients or people from the dojo, and say, hey, I'm doing my website. It would be really great to get a testimonial from you. So it's a great excuse basically to reach out. You're doing the website, and don't just say I want a testimonial. Give them an example. Like if you look at some of these websites, you can look at any voiceover websites and look for testimonial quotes. See the things that just speak to people's professionalism and how directable they are and how great they are to work with and the results they got and how the client loved it. And you might want to just write up a sort of example testimonial, and you might find that people just sort of use that or finagle it a little bit. But basically, it's a great place to give somebody a little hint about what you're looking for. But it's easy to get hung up, like, oh, I'm not ready to do this. You can get ready to get ready a lot when you're creating branding, when you're creating a website in particular. So the thing that I really try to get people to understand is it's not permanent. It's the web. It's, get out there, get it out there. And then you get feedback and you get a sense of how it's working, and you can iterate and evolve your brand. So, you got to start, because otherwise you don't know how, you can't get to the great finished brand that you're going to wind up with. So it might not be perfect. It won't be perfect to start with. That's fine. It's really important to just get going online. As I mentioned before, the voiceover community is really unique in that it's so supportive, and it's got its own, there's obvious wins. There's obvious, here's what I'm looking for that you can put out there. So I really encourage people to just share and engage on social media, on LinkedIn, in the dojo, in other voiceover communities and Facebook groups, because when you show up, people know that you're serious. You're showing up. So when you show up to share and engage, it shows that you're paying attention. You can be noticing trends and challenges and speaking to those. It shows that you're in this business, that you're observing the business. You can help others. So you want to use the opportunity to advance the tribe and help other people. And that helps build relationships. There might be somebody that you help along the way that winds up being a casting person. It's like you just never know, right? So it's a business of relationships. It's a business of referrals. And it's very hard to build that with Facebook posts, right? Out to casting directors or agents or something. They're not looking. Nobody's looking to find. They're not Googling for voiceover artists. Most people are, unless they're a small business looking for something direct. So your best bet is to really be part of the community and sort of distinguish yourself there, and see, and again, as I mentioned before, you might have something else that you do that has a capacity to create a following, and that can be helpful. When I'm helping clients, I really like to give them I don't want to be the web guy they have to go to update their website. I want to give them something that they can easily update themselves. As I like to say, give a person a fish and wait, why are you giving away fish? If you're interested in talking about branding or marketing or websites or whatever, I encourage you to get on my calendar. You can go to alignedonline.com/alignment to do that directly. But you can also go there and just check out the website. And that's where I will leave it.
And if wherever you are on your journey, we'd love to talk with you and see how we can get you to where the next place that you want. We might be able to help with getting you to the next place that you'd like to be. So please reach out and sign up for a voiceover once over, if so we can get to know you and see how we can help. So this is the website to sign up for a voiceover once over, free 15-minute chat, and we can get a sense of how all this is resonating with you and where you're at. We have a new session starting in April and new classes um, starting in April too. We have new things coming up in April, so would love to hear from you. And Parker, thank you so much for sharing all of that insight. I hope it's been helpful. We would love to take a few minutes. Oh, and look, it's 11:11:11, just as we wrapped up. So that's really powerful.
Well,
Could
I
you,
do note that Kevin's raised his hand. There might be some other questions. We could take a couple minutes here.
okay, well, let's put questions in the chat, please, and then we'll call you in if you want to write your questions in the chat, and then Kelsey will call you in, and yeah, and looking forward to seeing if you want to also um, as we're doing questions. We also like to hear what's coming through for you. So if before you leave, there's a dojo O that you want to share of, something that struck you. But let's do let's take some questions. Yeah, Kelsey, why don't you start? No Park, yeah. No, you're
Yeah,
good.
I could literally fuel this whole Q&A session. So, the question I want to start off with is, what is like a huge but common mistake that is just like an honest mistake that a lot of people make in their branding and marketing?
Hmm.
Good question.
It's a good question, but like I said, I don't want to get people hung up on anything that's going to stop them from getting out there. Like I think um, uh, keeping things simple. So a mistake often is that they try to do too much. They try to load, like they have a bio that's 15 paragraphs. They want to combine their acting site and their voiceover site. You want to keep things stripped down and simple for your voiceover site, because the person who's looking for that talent isn't interested in your on camera, right? For the most part, unless you're doing performance capture or stuff like that. So there's obviously there's a rule to be broken every time, but um, I think the mistake is usually it's too complicated. There's Yeah, you can fall in love with colors that are your favorite color that are not the right color to match your voice print. You can fall in love with typography that's your favorite, font, because it's so, reminds you of, Ren Fair or something, but it's not a match for you, for what you're putting out there on your demo. So part of a common mistake is to um, think about only what your personal, like I want it to mirror me personally, and not be thinking a little bigger about how is this in the world? How's this going to hit the people who are looking for what I have to offer?
Yeah. How do you understand your gifts and then give the gift of you to somebody else so they're like, "Oh, it's just what I wanted. Yay." I think also sometimes when we get too fancy with fonts, we can't read your name. So I think that's something like, "Oh, that's so fancy. I don't know what letters those are." Or it doesn't make an impact because it's so fancy. Like how can we see it and grab it and know it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's helpful to think of the 2-second rule, which is you're scrolling
With
through
all the
Instagram.
attention that you have.
Yeah, that's all the attention you have. If they can't read your name in the 2 seconds as your thing flies by, you didn't do it right. So
Yeah. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. What other
All right.
questions in the chat?
Pamela, come on up. Lovely to see you.
Howdy, folks. So my question is just if you do like multiple different genres, which most of us do, but if they're quite different, would you switch up the branding or the look of the page if you had them on different pages, like say kids animation versus audio description or commercial or what have you, it's more serious type thing? Or does that get too busy or confusing and then just kind of get lost into, well, I don't really know what they are,
Well, I think the
uh,
key I
go
think
ahead.
the key is if you're showing that you can do this and this. How do you cleanly show that? We didn't include it here, but as we were looking through examples, like if you go to Jen Wong's website, she has that like cool, hip, sophisticated illustration. And then she also down below, just like Max had, other things about him, she has her with kind of like a cool, not like on the beaten track hairstyle, and all of her characters around her as well. So it might be that how are you taking us on the journey if something that you do is really, really super different? Just how do you cleanly
Try to find like a common ground essentially, as opposed to creating two separate different markets kind of thing or something.
Well, I mean, it's all you,
Yeah.
right? It's all you. So I would say, what's the through line of you? And they said different shades of you or different facets of you, but just make it not so complicated,
Yeah.
right? If you're taking me on a journey of the facets of you, let's how do we clearly do that, right? Yeah. What are your
Uh,
thoughts, Park?
Well, I think that your branding stays as consistent as possible because that's branding consistency. But you can use different headline treatments or colors or visual things in a section that's about that thing, right? So you can differentiate things, within, like, your branding stays up on top with the tagline that sort of gives a full range of the things you do, and then as you come down to the animation stuff, it might
You can have
convey a
one
little
part
more.
super serious and the next part super like more colorful if you're doing, say, kids animation or something like that. Because I wouldn't
And
want
I
to
would get
plates.
I would guess that you would, I think those two ideas inform each other, right? So there's nothing that you do in voiceover that doesn't inform some other part of what you do in voiceover. So I think people who are looking for someone with for example, animation, you have to have a pretty wide range of voices to move unless you're doing a very specific thing. But they expect you to have a wide range. They expect you to be able to do multiple different kinds of energies and wackiness and stuff. The only thing I would say that I would that I in my experience, there's usually too many audiobook demos, different chapters of different books and stuff to comfortably fit on that homepage. So I would usually recommend having a separate page that has more audiobook. You might have an overall 3-minute, 5-minute audiobook demo that shows different things, but then have a link that gets to a page that has people who are looking for specific genres of audiobook can find the romance novels or find the whatever.
I apologize, should have clarified. I was thinking it's two separate, completely separate pages to give a different vibe, not just like a paragraph down or something.
It's think of it this way: if someone's looking for an animation voice, they're not going to be surprised that you do commercials or do other things, right? It's not going to be like a weird, like, what cognitive dissonance. So you don't really have to separate it the way you would, like, if someone's looking for on camera, that's different. That's a different thing than looking for voiceover. That needs to be two different websites, I think, or at least a different URL that may forward.
Yeah, or I think if you do have different disciplines that you do, different mediums that you work on, figuring out what is the overall branding that works for all of them, and then having it super clear that, if you're sending out to voiceover people, that they go to the voiceover page first and then can go to the others, right? Or, even
Right.
audiobook, right? Because ultimately, and we're getting into a little bit of the mechanisms of a website, which is another discussion, right? So,
Yeah.
so I think, coming back to the branding discussion, what is the through line? What is the essence of Pamela if she's doing cartoons, if she's doing audiobooks, if she's doing everything, right? And yeah, so I think that's like, and then I think that's also something that helps to like hone in. Okay, we're talking about this, and then the next step is, how do you create that place where all the landing is and you have a nice brand, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
because sometimes it gets mushed together, right? It gets mushed all together, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say again, you really you think you can do it wrong, but if you're doing it at all, you're doing it right. Like if you're getting it out there, it's so much, you're so much ahead of the game, because then all right, now you have a place to start. Now you can look at your how page visits are going and see what happens. Like if you split that out, what happens, right?
Yeah.
You can test things.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I just wanted to point something out. So Alina's face is not on here, but can everyone see her spooky like graveyard thing? She was, oh, hi, Alina. We just had she was on our Launchpad Laboratory, which is part of what comes with our introductory course. Once a month, we have a laboratory place. But I saw this and I'm like, ooh, cool background. And she was able to explain the audio, the book that she wrote so she could do the audiobook that is in this branding around her voice. So she's created a whole product that was finding a voice that she is branding for her audiobook, and she created a whole project, but it's really evocative and is immediately starts a conversation, right? Don't you want to know more? Like I just said that and like, oh, wow. Or, Joseph, oh, you're from San Francisco, or you love San Francisco, or San Francisco's cool. You must be cool too, right? So that's really, really interesting. And Alina, let's hear your voice just for a second so we get a sense of how your voice aligns with that. Not, no, we don't want to go into the whole story but if you want to know more about what Alina's doing, it's super cool because she's making stuff happen for herself. But just let's hear your voice in the room for a second to see how it matches.
Hi. Yeah, what Trisha's been telling you is true. And I'll give you just a very brief summary of what happened. I
No,
started
I don't
taking,
want a summary. I don't want a summary of what happened. I just wanted people to hear your voice. But
okay, fine.
but no. But if you're interested, Alina, could you put in the chat how people can touch base with you and see what you're up to?
Sure, yeah, hold on one second.
Yeah, that would be great because that's worthwhile. And yeah, you should all talk to Alina because she's doing some cool stuff. It's really good. So yeah, good.
Okay.
yeah, I don't want to talk more about websites. I think that's too, like that would be a whole other get to know
Yeah.
VO
Well,
talk.
we can do another
But
get to know VO soon
yeah,
about that.
but if you're curious about like what page builder to use or what what you're trying to do and what might be the easiest way to do that, just get on my calendar, alignedonline.com/alignment.
Yeah, cool. What other questions do we have, Kelsey?
I do have a website question next. Is that okay?
Well, if there's
Sure.
no other questions.
All right, Joseph. It's nice to see you again. Come on in if you'd like to read your question off.
Hello. Hi, good to see you again, Kelsey. Thank you, Parker, for that. My question is, would you use Wix.com or the Adobe Creative Cloud to make a website?
Well, I wouldn't use Adobe Creative Cloud because they retired their web builder. So they used to have a product that would build websites. They haven't updated it in several years. I would definitely look at Wix over that. I think all of the modern page builders platforms are, they're easy to use. They're, hundreds of people. What I like about them is you can get support. There's so many people using Wix or Squarespace or WordPress, that there's 100 people who can help you with that, who can, like, if you get stuck, who can help you. I typically recommend using WordPress and hosting it yourself because it gives you the most flexibility. You're not stuck. If you create a website in Wix, you don't have the ability to move it to another hosting platform. It's Wix or nothing, right? If it's Squarespace or nothing. If you decide you don't like your web host on a WordPress site, you can change your servers. You can change your web hosting provider. So it's a little more flexibility, a little more technical. There's a little bit of more of a hurdle, so you have to weigh it. But modern page builders, there's a theme called Divi, D-I-V-I, that I like a lot on WordPress. It's a page builder theme. It makes it super easy. You just edit right on the page what you're looking at. You just change the things and hit save,
And
much like Squarespace.
when you work with people, Parker, you can help guide, like, here's a way we can get it set up, and here's a way that we can make it consistent, and here's a way that you can handle it yourself, right? Is
Yeah,
the
I
type
try
of
to put all, like I said, give a person a fish, and why are you giving away fish? No, you want to help people have the tools to do the things themselves, so you don't need to have be tech. I really am good at explaining technical things, and also I have open office hours on Fridays for all my clients. So that's called code side assistance. So if you are a client and you're working on something and you want some help, that's always available to you.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and Pamela, I just saw your note, like that branding and website are so deeply intertwined because website is where you put it, right? Branding is what you create, and then um, website is like the place where it lands and has the impact where people interact with it, right? So it's like the ideas that you build, and then how does that fit in thematically and consistently in the place where people will be interacting with the branding. So yeah.
I didn't mention this before, but if you're we talked about domains a little bit, but if you have a domain, if you go and get your name.com or yournamevo.com, you should also get an email, even if it's just a forwarding email that goes to that address. That's part of establishing yourself as a business, right? You don't want your AOL account to be your email account, or even Gmail. Gmail may be okay, but basically I recommend there's very cheap ways to set up an email forwarding that takes Parker at parkerbennett.com and sends it to the right to some Gmail address or something.
Cool. Well, we're coming up to 11:30, which is our stopping point, but any other questions in the chat? And if we're as we're going, would love to see your dojo O's, what your takeaways from today was, what came through, what was inspiring, what was eye-opening, what made you think about something different, or what reassured you about something that you knew already. Yeah, I would love to see that. And then Jeffrey, can you put the how to keep in touch with everybody again one more time? Because we really love talking with you. We love that you come here to these things, get to know VO. It's usually the third Wednesday of the month. Um, and if you can't come, you can listen to the recording. And Ask the Sensei is the first Wednesday of the month. And if you can't come, you can listen to the recording. If you're part of our Launchpad, we have the Launchpad Laboratory the second Wednesday of the month. Highly recommend doing that if you're just starting out, or if you are on your way and maybe don't feel as anchored in your process. Because sometimes we get started and we're like, yeah, I'm going, I'm doing it, yeah. And then you go like, wait a minute, I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing. Launchpad is a great place to just like anchor, complement, and supplement what you already know, and or lay a foundation if you are just starting out and don't know anything yet. That's good. And then if you're working pro, I think Jeffrey posted something about the Fight Club here. Kelsey just put this up. 3 times a month, we have a part of our working pro division is the VO Dojo Pro Fight Club, where we bring together top-notch talent with high caliber decision makers who hire us. And if you have anything in your heart about anime, next week, we have Brittany Lauda, who is an amazing talent and voice director in the anime world, joining us. And if you're working pro, demo rep and booking, you can apply to become part of the roster and play, and everyone can be a spectator. So really highly recommend checking that out. So yeah, look forward to talking with y'all. Do we have any Dojo O's? Oh,
I have
people
a
are sharing.
question,
Yeah, what's your question,
if I
Kelsey?
may.
Of course.
So this is a really tricky part of marketing, I think, for a lot of people. So how do you, okay, let's say that you're a streamer and you're like super casual and you curse or whatever on your streams and then like your TikToks, whatever. Are you supposed to like promote your socials on your VO website, or VO website should just be landing page for VO? Don't put like if you do social media related things on it. Does that make sense?
I
Yeah.
actually think you should connect your socials to your
Okay.
website. But Tish, you have a different idea?
No, I think it's, a more and more. I mean, I remember like years ago, years ago when A3 had offices and when A3 still existed, my longtime agents, just remembering talking to my agent about something that was, oh, well, I got this animation audition from someplace else, so just wondering why. And he's like, oh, my agent said, oh, because the initial breakdown that we got, the initial call out that we got was they needed people to be this level of influencer. And I was like, are you kidding me? He said, nope. You see those people walking by right there? Those young'uns are running the influencer department. And that's a thing. So, not that you have to go start a TikTok channel, but if you do have something, then, maybe I would assume that if you're doing something TikToky, it's kind of aligned with your brand, right? I would assume, right? So if it is something that you're cursing, that like that might be part of your edgy brand, right? Um, so I wouldn't worry about it. If it's something that's so weird, like play a librarian or something like that as your TikTok, that might be, and it's different than you. If you are a librarian, then that's great. Um, and nothing against librarians, they're the most amazing people on the earth. But yeah, so I think I would assume that whatever you're putting out as you on a social realm would probably be aligned with what you're putting forth as a voiceover artist, because it would probably be amongst your brand, right?
Okay.
Like
The other thing to consider is that you don't want first of all, you don't want to ever put anything, you don't want to pretend to be something you're not, right? It's just not long term a good strategy. You can't be something you're not. So rather lean into what you are and fully, and let people get to know that. And then the people who connect with you are super connected with you, as opposed to, oh yeah, she's okay.
right. Yeah, yeah. Um, and Kevin just wrote in direct message, what is an alignment? What's an alignment? Um, do you want to just
So
repeat that? Because I'm
yeah,
a little late. Yeah.
yeah, it's this is just getting on my calendar for a 15-minute, 20-minute conversation
Oh,
about
I
where
see.
you're at,
Mm-hmm.
and where you're at, what your next. Really, we try to make a plan for you, so it's a free way to get up the next steps going for your marketing, your branding, or your website, and to get a plan. And if you want to work with Aligned Online, fantastic. If you don't, fantastic. It's just you can get on my calendar. You can use my expertise for to help you with your next steps and talk things through, right? So you may and these questions that are coming up, we're gonna not answering everything, especially about the websites. That might be a good place to go ask me questions about creating your website.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
That was me branding. So online alignment. So I use my branding. I brand everything. I have roadside assistance instead of roadside assistance. I have online alignment is my discovery call. So because I don't know that you would do that for voiceover, but I think things through that way. Like, where can I brand? Where can I brand?
yeah, yeah. And Kevin, you said you wanted to get your voice in the room. Did you just want to say hi, or if you have one more thing, we're gonna wrap up.
Yeah, I've been looking at this website, and so yeah, it is a good website I'm looking at. Otherwise, it is very good. I'm looking at it now. It's called oh yeah, I haven't clicked on it. I checked. Yeah, I clicked on this link that someone just gave everyone. It's a good website, I see.
Excellent.
And then when I looked on it, when I copy it and paste it on my phone, it's kind of a really good thing. I mean, I haven't had a chance to go on it yet though, because it's really something interesting. But when I looked at it on it now, it's kind of good on this one, and which I'm looking at it now. Yeah, this website is really good. It's a
Excellent.
Well,
great general. Oh, I mean,
Good,
I
good,
can't
good.
find
you know,
anything, but
So,
it says
so
no
that's
results
great.
found.
That's great, Kevin. Thank you so much, and Parker, good job.
thank
Kevin,
you.
Kevin, you related to Kevin. He got it, and it's
Well,
clear and it's true. So thanks.
Kevin's on the right
Yeah.
track. Like if you're busy creating your website, you want to definitely look at all of the websites out there. You want to look at, especially other voiceover performers who are similar to you. You want to see what they're doing, and you know, do a lot of research about that. Look at other people's branding and see what resonates with you. That's the first step usually, is to go out there and survey what's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Cool.
can even do my own website on this one.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Excellent. Good, good, good. Um,
I just
Chris,
always like to end with saying thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time. I really do value that. And I appreciate you being here with us today and with me. Thank you.
yeah, and thanks to Jeffrey and Kelsey for keeping everything going. Look forward to seeing y'all next time, and look forward to getting to talk with y'all.
And before we all hop off, shall we, if you would like to, let's take a jump on camera and let's have a little capture a moment, a photo of all of us together here on this call. It was so informative. We learned so much. So for whoever would like to, let's go ahead and turn those cameras. Hello, everybody. And then I'll count us in. So on 3, going once, 2,
Say
going
fish.
twice. Say fish, fish. Got it. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Great job, everyone. Thank you so much, Parker. You rock. And we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye. Bye bye.